following presentation is a documentation on a string of kidnappings that started September 17th, 1983, and ended September 19th, 1987, in Seaford, Delaware. Out of respect for those affected, many personal details have been either censored or redacted. The victims of these crimes were exclusively women. 18 were kidnapped, 12 were returned to their homes, 6 were never found. In 1982, a 23-year-old woman reported an attempted kidnapping to police near Seaford, Delaware. She claimed that while riding her bicycle down Maggie's Bridge, a serpent tried to catch her in a white car. Maggie's Bridge is a location that many have claimed is haunted. The legend of Maggie Bloxam involves a woman who was killed in a strange horse carriage incident. She was pregnant. Some claim she was decapitated. Police, noting the peculiarity of a serpent being their suspect, performed a drug test on the young woman. Blood samples revealed traces of ketamine in her system. Due to the outlandish nature of her report and the local legend surrounding Maggie's Bridge, the police determined that there was no need for further investigation. A ceremonious report was made. Although the young woman implored the police to conduct a full search of the area surrounding Maggie's Bridge, background checks were run on her first. Several years prior, she had been institutionalized for symptoms of psychosis. She had also been arrested previously on 2 occasions for the illegal recreational use of hallucinogenic narcotics. Exactly 1 year later, on the night of September 16, 1983, 6 female high school students were declared missing by their families. The next morning, September 17th, they were officially designated as missing persons by the local police, who began searching for them immediately. All 6 of the girls were reported for truancy by their schools. 3 of the 6 who were employed had also failed to appear for their respective shifts. Over the course of nearly 6 days, the police searched for the missing girls, but to no avail.
The door itself was wooden and stained in red. It welcomed me with a hand and golden serpent. In the darkest behind, voices of those long dead had challenged me to enter, both cheerful and hell-bent, with one shake into its as I was led. One of 6 chooses a weapon of a small. Its cold steel sang soothingly and beckoned to me. Let us go. Through heaven's revolving door. From its cage, the snake whispered ever so softly. Then bit my lips and knew it was true. A childhood wound bled playfully from a weeping wall. Deep red carpet soft and flooded with blood anew.
The search had been almost entirely unsuccessful. The only remote lead the police had managed to procure was a tip from a vagrant who claimed to have seen one of the girls get picked up by a young man in a brand new white Mini Cooper. The homeless man was otherwise unhelpful and had no additional information to provide. The police doubted that the white vehicle was a new Mini Cooper due to the fact that Mini Coopers stopped being sold in the United States back in 1967. Just as the police prepared to put out an APB for the vehicle in question, a dispatcher received this call.
911, what's your emergency?
My daughter,
Yes?
she's back home now.
She's back home, you said.
She's one of the missing girls.
Are you in danger?
She's wrong. We found her standing in our living room, sitting there naked.
You need to be
She lost her head and talking to us.
The call was made by a mother of one of the missing girls. The girl had returned home completely naked and in a confused state. Any efforts to communicate at first seemed impossible. In fact, all 6 of the girls had returned to their homes, each of them in the same state, naked, confused, seemingly drugged. They were all found to be in possession of half-eaten figs. After some time, police were able to talk to the girls. A few of them gave details that would have officers rethinking their ceremonious report the year prior. Further examinations and drug tests had revealed that the girls were shaven of their hair to varying degrees, adorned in red lipstick, and thoroughly cleaned. A series of kits revealed that none of the girls had been harmed or used sexually. Traces of ketamine were found in their systems. Aside from that, each and every one of them was found to be in good health. Although none of the girls had any clear recollection of the time they were missing, each and every one of them had one particular memory of their captor. The serpent had shown them a garden, and then had offered them each a choice. Stay in paradise, or eat the fruit he had given them. If they ate the fruit, they could return to their former lives. A concentrated dosage of ketamine was found in each of the figs. They had likely been injected full of the substance, and the girls' consumption of them led to their current drugged state. Though this didn't explain their complete lapse in memory over the last 6 days. Something was now abundantly clear to the police. Last year's attempted kidnapping report was just the beginning. The beginning of something very real and very unsettling. Whoever this kidnapper was, he had access to narcotics, a fixation on theological symbolism, and an unknown goal to achieve with Seaford's young women. With that, the hunt for the Seaford serpent began.
Approaches from the zero substance, and the widened eyes watch me as I wake. This is the ending of all that I know. No matter what I do or where I go, there is only one final choice I can make. When the wailing approaches from the zero substance, I see a flash and I hear it foam. Insides explore the outside as they tear and break. This is the ending of all that I know. I I cannot protect them, for I am too slow. I beg, take me, leave them for mercy's sake. When the wailing approaches from the Sarosup's flood, after killing, she leaves them neatly in a row. There is more that she would like to take. This is the ending of all that I know. When my soul leaves me, it does not glow. I see not the heavens for a burning lake. When her wailing approaches from the Sarosup's flood, this is the ending of all that I know.
The investigation had led to nothing but dead ends. That was until September 17th, 1985, when 6 more young women were reported missing. This time, they were college students. More aggressive search was conducted, with police keeping an eye out for any white vehicle resembling a Mini Cooper in the region. Minimal, if any, substantial evidence had been collected from the previous victims, though they weren't completely certain that these new missing persons were connected to the previous incident. 6 missing girls, mid-late September. Everything suggested that they were in fact connected. The Seaford Serpent was the prime suspect. Several white vehicles were stopped. Multiple people were questioned. The missing women were not found. There were no leads to suggest the potential identity of the kidnapper. Having returned his previous victim's home, the police decided to set up perimeters in the neighborhoods the victims had lived in. On the night of September 23rd, one of the officers on lookout observed a naked woman walking down the center of the road in the dark. Upon closer inspection, she was confirmed to be one of the 6 that were missing. The other 5 were soon found in exactly the same manner. 6 women, naked, drugged, shaved, yet physically unharmed. These victims recalled being slightly more lucid than the girls who had been kidnapped before them. They all talked of a dense forest they had been taken to, darkness. A man who made them an offer. He calmly asked them if they wished to stay with him in paradise. Yet, they chose to partake of the fruit. Despite rigorous effort, no DNA evidence linked to the kidnapper was discovered. These 2 events had left investigators with more questions than answers. Specific questions were: what was the significance of kidnapping 6 women? Why during the same time of year? Considering this, would it be possible to prepare for the serpent's next spree? The year 1986 came and went without any sign of the serpent. Repeated questioning of the victims yielded no new information that could help the police pinpoint the identity or location of the kidnapper. All they knew was that he was, in fact, a man who was potentially 30 to 40 years old and drove a supposed white Mini Cooper. The case once again went cold until September 18th, 1987, when 6 women in their mid-late 20s were reported missing. No expense was spared during the police's search of the region. Citizens were enlisted to help, scent dogs were used, and helicopters were deployed in an effort to locate the new set of victims. No traces were found. These 6 women, much like the others, had simply vanished. Given the serpent's previous pattern, the police considered the possibility that the women would be found back in their neighborhoods by September 24th, if not sooner. The days passed. No leads. September 24th arrived, and then it passed. The women had not returned. The police did, however, receive correspondence from an anonymous source. A dirty envelope It contained a cassette tape. The word poetry had been written on the label with a black marker. Droplets and smears of blood were also observed on its surface. DNA testing confirmed that the blood of all 6 of the missing women was present on the tape. Upon listening to the tape, police discovered 3 tracks. 2 of them were strange audio productions, with a man's monotone voice reading what they perceived to be the poetry that the cassette's title suggested. The 2 poems could not be linked to any existing or published writing. Lastly, a series of numbers were recited along with a sequence of Morse code. An electronic voice also spoke words from military alphabets. But, of course, the pigs couldn't make sense of it. After deciphering the coordinates they had received, the police had assembled a team and sent them out to investigate the area in question. Upon arrival, they would make a critical development in the case. In the middle of dense woods near Maggie's Bridge, they found a custom-imported 1982 white Mini Cooper parked in a small clearing. Its trunk had been removed. In that trunk, they found a collection of human hair, women's hair. In the glove compartment of the vehicle, they would also find a notebook. Inside of that notebook, they would find a series of 3 number code sequences. Further inspection would reveal that the various collections of hair had belonged to all 18 of the victims, along with additional hair that suggested there were even more undiscovered victims. The numbers in the notebook ranged from 1 to 26. Although progress was made after determining that the numbers may coincide with the 26 letters of the English alphabet, nothing would lead them to the victims or their captor. Frustratingly, no substantial DNA evidence was collected that could link the kidnapper to the scene, who they had believed to be the serpent. The next year, 1988, Delaware police would find and catch Delaware's only known serial killer. It wouldn't, however, have any connection to this case, and the case was never solved. They named the case after the vehicle they had found at their one and only crime scene. Cooper 82.
Third time's a charm. See you in paradise.
Body, forehead, Oscar, over. Welcome. Big. Tommy. Tango. Lima. Edward.